Hey, welcome back to another episode of Dogging It Pinozo. You know where I'm at. I know where you're at, and I got to tell you, buddy, I am just beyond just thrilled, man. I don't get excited very often for tournaments these days, but this is like it was like Christmas type stuff. Just like getting just, I was ready for play, man. You know what I mean?
You could tell. I mean, your whole reel, like following you from 2 o'clock in the morning, in Texas
Yeah,
to get into the U.S. Open, was you could tell you were
yeah.
amped up, which is cool.
Well, like I try to. I'm listen. I'm 37, I think, and I'm trying not to be like that old guy trying to be hip. You know what I'm saying? So like
Leave that
I'm
to
trying to
me.
figure out. Yeah, well, I'm trying to figure out new ways to deliver content. And
Yeah,
have it not be so stiff. So I'm just trying to like. And listen, I don't got any education. I kind of just fly by the seat of my pants, but. Um,
yeah,
yeah, no, it's been fun, and I'm gonna try. Listen, this is only the beginning. I've already gotten some like pretty decent stuff. Been talking to a lot of players, and it's been a fun time, Mike, so far.
yeah. Well, you hit the ground running, that's for sure.
Yeah, buddy. All right, so let's talk U.S. Open. Mike, play just started underway. There's a lot of matchups going on right now. I'm gonna bring up the scoreboard here a little bit. You guys can check out from matchroompool.com. You guys can sweat the scores. They got the live scoring available for every table, and there's just a ton of action going on. Mike, I was sweating
Yeah,
Yanni Saikinen versus Gangflot. You got Corey Deuel versus Eric Roberts. Of course, FSR and Carlo are playing on TV tables 1 and 2 respectively. So, about what you'd expect, but it's you can tell there's a buzz in the room for sure.
yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure. How many tables do they have lined up in there?
Boy, I'm trying to think here. At like 20 something, probably. 20.
Couple
I'm counting.
dozen.
I think 26. Let me see here. Yeah, I think something like 26, and then a few practice tables as well. So,
Yeah,
um, it looks like Corey's up 3-1 on Eric Roberts. I'm gonna lose that bet for sure. It's looking like so.
yeah. I saw that one go by.
Already starting in the hole, starting off on a Monday, Mike. So,
So let's
what were
let's
you
go
looking
over
forward to,
where
buddy?
where where can people watch this. For one, they can go to matchroompool.com to the U.S. Open. It'll give them all the options, right?
Yep.
But we also know it's on Matchroom Live, um, and on YouTube and on Facebook. Tables 1 and 2. Is that the
Yeah,
setup?
I'm gonna share some of those links, but yeah, I believe you're right. Yeah, yeah, on YouTube. So let me see if I can bring it up here while I'm got you here on my phone. I hope all you guys are sweating it because it's actually, I mean, the Francisco, he's the defending champion. I get that, but the Carlo match is pretty solid. Yeah, so Matchroom Multisport has a table going right now. That's actually the Carlo and Abdullah match, Al Shamiri, which Al Shamiri is at the table right now, and it is 4-2 in favor of Carlo. So,
Okay.
and that was one of the ones that I was really looking forward to, just looking at there because it's a bit of a trap match for Carlo. I mean, obviously he's going to go in there as a favorite. He's won this event in the last few years, but Shamir is a very formidable opponent, and it looks like if he gets out on this, it's going to be 4-3 here in a minute.
Wow. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
you never know who's going to sneak up on you, but yeah, it's kind of a trap game for sure because
yeah.
it's not something you've never heard of. So,
What were you looking forward to, Mike, coming to the U.S. Open?
um, I just like the whole. Obviously, the U.S. Open's always been my favorite tournament. Outside of Moscone Cup, but as far as a favorite true tournament, the U.S. Open's always been my favorite. So I just like the history of it, and how hard, how much it means to players. I think really until the past year or so, it's meant more than the World Championship. So, and now they run about even. So I love that part of it. And obviously the added interest this year in players fighting for spots on Moscone Cup when you're looking at European and U.S. players. So U.S. player, is going to be named at the end of this, and that's pretty much a done deal, right? But
On
there's
the
still
American
that,
side.
yeah, on the American sites, but there's still that fight for the third spot, which this event is going to go a long ways towards establishing because you don't know how many players are going to end up at the Asian Open. So this is, if you're a U.S. player trying to get that third spot, this is the event you got to make your move. As
Well,
far as
it's
the
not just that, but
Europeans, it's kind of wide open. I mean, you've got, someone like Moritz coming through here. All of a sudden, he's the flavor of the day. That third spot for Europe is an absolute coin flip at this point.
I mean, it's been turned on its head over the last 2 months, Mike. You have two guys who were not in contention, who are not only in contention, but are a favorite to win that second spot, at least in David right now, right? He's neck and neck with Federer. I know Federer's got a little bit of a cushion, about 10 grand worth. But,
Right.
2 months ago, that wasn't the case.
Right.
Moritz is now on the map after, a good couple of weeks. So that just shows how much that with the events and the payouts, how things can kind of turn on its head, and nothing is safe if you're one of these, let's say, tenured players who, before it's like you kind of knew, okay, they're going to get
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Listen,
No, now
all
there's
all
no
all
guarantees now.
bets are
All
off,
bets are
Mike.
off. Yep. All bets
Yeah,
are off.
you know,
And
and I
again,
think it's a good thing.
a lot of this is at the expense of Kachi, who would have been a front runner, this whole
It's
time
unfortunate,
as
Mike.
well. So yeah, it's lot going on, a lot to watch. It makes scoreboard watching a lot of fun. Just adds another element to this event beyond what it already is.
Well, Mike, it's watching the end of a baseball season, or the end of an NFL season, or the end of a basketball season, right? It's like when it gets down to the nitty gritty, wins start mattering, right? And it's like you can
Yeah,
see a game deficit kind of take into effect, and as the tournament starts to play itself out over the next few days, and you start getting into the money. Now you're going to start doing this number here. You're going to start getting your fingers and toes together to add up
yeah.
to see, okay, how far does he need to go, and where does the other guy need to stop in order for
Right.
you to have a swing? And I'd say, Mike, that someone that we don't know is going to be deep in this event, Mike, because it happens every single time.
Yeah, it does. It does. So yeah, just it's going to be a wild guess as to who that's going to be. But right now you'd have to say, uh, you know, Moritz would be the favorite pick to all of a sudden, make a big move here because
I see.
he's
I
been
think
on an
so, but it's so
absolute
hard to
fire.
follow up. It
It
it's
is. It
so
is.
hard
It's
and
so hard to
especially going into a major.
right. Well,
Yeah.
we saw with Francisco, we kept waiting for the bubble to burst on that run too.
Right.
It's hard to go
And
from
look how
one
that
big
worked
event
out.
to the next and finish high, much less win. So there's no reason for me to think, based on the past, this isn't, Mohammed Sufi finishing second or anything like this. This is Moritz has been
Right.
coming, and we've watched over the last 3-4 weeks the various events and matchups that he's gone through where he's
Right.
shown he's riding a pretty good part of the wave right now. And there's no real reason to think that all of a sudden, he's going to go 2-0. So, yeah.
No, not even close. It's I tell you, this is where like I started getting a little, I don't want to say skeptical, but it's like, okay, here's the test. Here's where you're going to see where you're at in the totem pole. Now we've seen him have form in major before, but never like on, and I'm talking about Moritz, by the way, never like
Yeah.
he's had playing in a pool room like he has over the last few weeks. So this is going to be like, okay, where you're at, because now everybody steps up, everybody stands tall, everybody, this is what they came here for. This is a crown jewel of the year. This is, like you said, probably the best tournament before the World Championships recently. And I would argue, and even talking with a lot of players, they still hold this probably
100.
higher than the
I,
World
I,
Championships.
I agree. I agree.
You
Yeah.
know, like
So, yeah, no. So Moritz, yeah. I mean, it's a little step up for him. It's a really place to show himself. But you look at the run that he made in Connecticut, and you got to believe the guy's ready to take the next step. I mean,
Well, when you
he
get
didn't
wins
he,
like that, Mike, on a regular basis, that's when you start thinking, okay, you know what? Maybe
in
this
the
is not
lineup of
just
people
a
he
flash.
beat in Connecticut, and he just ran him over. Nobody even threatened this guy during the whole week. Or the whole week, it
Yeah.
was 2 days. They jammed this thing into 2 days. But nobody even got close to him. So this is a guy that's playing with amazing confidence and amazing, and we know his skill level already. So, he's going to be, there's going to be a lot of people standing around his tables when he's playing in the next couple of days.
Without a doubt. By the way, he played at 11:30 round. So after this first round finishes up is whenever he plays. And you're right, all eyes are going to be on the kid because he's the talk right now. I've been here hanging around and cutting up with a few players, but that kid is what's on everybody's mind. Everybody now took notice. Even Francisco, whenever I asked him, he brought up Moritz. And you got to think like, and there's a lot of similarities. And I don't want to jump the gun because obviously what Francisco did was just we never seen before, right? But
Right.
like he's got that break and he's got that confidence and he's already showing now consistency. It's like, okay, are we going to see another run? And a lot of people are in your camp, Mike. A lot of people think the same way, and I know I wouldn't be surprised, but just playing devil's advocate, like I said, it's like I gotta think, okay, let's see you on the big stage, let's see you on the 4-inch pockets, let's see you
Right.
on a TV table with the lights and the camera, and then let's see if you rattle or not, kid. Because
Yeah.
we know what he sounds like on here and on here, and we know what he can do in a pool room and on the East Coast. It's a different stage, and I want to see it, Mike. I do.
Yeah. No, I'm
So,
looking forward to it too. And I'd be really surprised if he's not on table once or twice over the next couple of days.
but even Emily, whenever I spoke to her earlier, was talking about it. Francisco was talking about it. I talked with a lot of players, Chris, Daniel Maciel. Everyone's talking about this kid right now. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I'm. It's been just a roller coaster, and it's only been like 2 hours since I've been in the room.
I know
So,
you're gonna be a
which
basket case by Friday, son.
we're gonna have some breaking news here on the page in a little bit, and I haven't told Mike about it, but there's some stuff that's coming out of Asia that is just gonna. It's an unfortunate time for stuff like this to come out, but yeah, it is what it is. So
Yeah.
just kind of stay tuned for that, you guys. But back
Okay.
to the U.S. Open. Mike, I posted that top 10 of what I thought were the storylines. What is the one that you're really looking forward to, between, and not even including my list, because mine may not be shit to you, but like, what is it from you covering the sport for so long? What is something that you've had your eye on?
Um, Boy, it's an event like this. I don't really zero in on anything in particular. I always used to
Yeah.
just go to the U.S. Open and sit back and put my feet up and just watch because it was just always
Yeah.
so much fun, and you always saw new names, appear, and you saw old names, come up to the forefront, and it's always just you just let the event happen and you just watch it and let it unfold. And there's so many great the one good thing about all the events this year is there's so many more names in the equation. You can't wait to watch Moritz. You can't wait to watch Anton Raga. You
Of
can't wait
course.
to watch, all these other players. And, in previous years, it just seemed like there was one or two guys you were really kind of watching. And now you see all these guys stepping up. It's great to have the Asian players back and
Yeah.
the guys who've done well this year from Asia. It's great to see that. So there's just so many names in the equation now that you just can't count out. That it makes it really exciting. And then you see, what we've seen in these last 3-4 big events, whether it's a gang flood or whether it's
Yeah.
Mark Beasterbash, or whether it's any players like that. It just makes it so much more fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Gangflot was on that short list of guys who I wanted to watch, because I want to see how that kid's hitting the ball. Like, if you're working to get out versus if you're getting out and handling your business, it's a big difference because that confidence will sustain you throughout an event and really just put pressure on your maybe where you as a bit of an unknown. He's on that list of guys I want to see, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
Anton. We know he's on fire. It's just there's so many names. Mark. Yeah, but it's more of was it a flash? We know he's been steady in Euro tours. He's been steady in matches, but never like we saw out there in Spain. So can he follow that up and really take advantage of the opportunity that he's got right now? Because Mike, he can make a European team with a solid finish this week.
Yeah, he could. He could. And then, we talked last week when we were talking about Moritz. We kind of made the comparison to, the previous year looking at Victor. and here Victor goes into Michigan and wins the
The timing of it was pretty epic,
Pro
Mike.
Billiard
You
Series.
know?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
He played well. I talked to him afterwards about, what does this do for his confidence, because he's been very upfront about his
right.
confidence, his mental state not being at peak form in the past several months. So he said, of course, this does a lot for him. He feels like he's playing good. He feels like he's playing smart. That takes a lot of weight off you mentally. So, he's coming in there with a little bit of a run
Well,
under his belt
I,
too. So,
I get it.
look,
I get it. But pump the brakes a little bit because I've also seen Mike after he follows up these kind of wins because it's not his first rodeo winning a Predator event, right? But what I
right.
have seen whenever he does win one of these events, then it's the next one he kind of disappears when like you expect, okay, is he going to go on a deep run? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of the
Well,
kid
not
through and through.
surprisingly,
You
all
know?
the Polish players did well this past
Yes.
weekend in Michigan. So
Did you
it's
see
like,
Wojciech's post? He said, Poles were only defeated by Poles.
uh, I guess that's probably true.
It is, yeah. The only time a Polish player, or I guess lost out of the event, maybe, or maybe just lost in general, was to another Polish player. How
Yeah.
strong is that, Mike?
Yeah, no, they were
So
all playing. They were all playing solid, and they're all there together, and they're traveling together. And I look for this to be another one of those events where you look at the last 16, and there's 5 polls. So
yes,
you know,
yes,
yeah,
all the
yeah,
time, Mike. I was talking with
another
Martial.
storyline. So
Martial was practicing with Babika, and I was talking with Martial. And first of all, I asked him, "Listen, did you make the kid buy steaks? Did you make the winner, Victor, pay for dinner?" He didn't beat. He said we went to the most expensive steakhouse we could find, and all the meals on him. So kudos to them for cashing in on old boy, on the young one.
yeah,
Um,
right,
but
right, right,
but no, I mean, listen, it's that saying, Mike. It's that iron sharpens iron, right? We saw
right.
FSR, be in the camp of David, and now we've seen where he's at. We've seen Filler and with the German Federation, along with friends like Ralph and Thorsten have created, and Josh, and have been accustomed. He's a part of the reason why, right? You talk
Yeah,
about the Filipinos who are just so deep. I mean, the cab driver can bust you, the bartender can bust you, and then you have these guys who are coming and traveling, and they're just beating up on each other. Everyone's just getting better and better and better, Mike.
yeah,
And then they come out here and get comfortable, and it's like everybody gets put on notice. But the crazy part is, Mike, is that it's everybody, it's everywhere. It's the Vietnamese players, it's a couple of
yeah.
Americans,
Especially
Filipinos,
this event,
it's Polish.
they've all been over here for a month. you know, all these
Yeah,
guys from the
yeah.
various countries have been here for months, so they're hitting the U.S. Open, you know, in good form, physically, mentally, game wise. So, yeah, it's going to be a barn burner for sure.
Just a bit of a scoreboard update. So it's 4-2 in favor of Corey. The looks like Carlo is cruising along with FSR. Dennis Gray, man, 7-1. I want to talk with Dennis because Dennis had a pretty good showing out there in
Yeah,
in
Michigan.
Michigan as well. And
Yeah,
he was he was a player for so long. Like I thought, okay, he was, I thought, number 6 man out for like a couple of years. I
yeah,
genuinely believe that. And then now he's taking a step back, it seems like, but maybe he's coming back, Mike, with vengeance, and gonna have a solid run. Like I'm hopeful.
yeah. Well,
Um,
he's just a really good player, and you talk about steel sharpening steel and things like that, and he comes over here and he's traveling around with the same group of guys, right? And
Alex and them, yeah.
yeah, so I think when they're together like that and they're on the road and it's us against the world and whatever, they all seem to play a little better.
Well, it helps keep up morale, and obviously they know what their skill set is like, or they wouldn't be here in the first place.
Right.
So, um, give me a name that's maybe like around that, let's say like 6 to 9 range on the rankings that could make a deep run, Mike.
Um, for US, Europe, or total overall rankings.
Oh, in general, I guess pick your poison. You know?
Man, make a run.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, legitimately, like, don't. I mean, listen, if you don't think anyone's got the shot, just say it. I'm good with that too.
Yeah,
You know,
no, there's it's hard to narrow it down. We haven't heard a lot from Mario in a little bit, and it doesn't, that's not going to go for long before all of a sudden he pops up. So I could
right.
see, would I see
Well, he
Mario
was
making
in
a
the
Final Four?
semifinals,
Sure.
Mike, of Connecticut. He was in the semifinals of Connecticut.
In Connecticut, yeah, you're right. He was.
Yeah,
He was.
yeah. And Mike, for so long, at least for last year, like last year, I thought that dude had like the best break out of like maybe like as good as Francisco's was when Francisco's break was dialed in. I thought
Mhm.
Mario had that kind of break, and then it just sort of disappeared. You know, but I want to see. I picked Mario a lot of times and ended up looking like I had pie on my face. But it's he's got to
Well, you
make a
could
run,
always
right,
shift
Mike?
gears and pick Max.
Well, yeah, change it up a little bit, right? Change it up a little bit. Who else are you
I
thinking, Mike?
expect
That could that
to
can decent run on the
I expect to see one of the Asian players, one of the lesser known Asian players to make a deep run because they always do.
like
Someone
who,
always
Mike?
does.
Like who?
I don't know. It could be Kwok. It could be
Right.
someone like that. That all of a sudden you see them and there they are in the Final Four. Um, so
Well, I mean, he's steadily around that 32 range, 16,
yeah,
8, that
always,
kind of field. Like with
always.
if you were to average it out, he's around there.
I'm just
Um,
curious to see if he's got a deep run in him.
yeah. Well, he's got such like an unassuming game that you're like, he's got I don't know. I'm not sold. And then he just wins. Like he just
Yeah,
wins
yeah.
because he's not flashy. He
Yeah,
just gets
he's
out. He
cleared a
just
couple of
gets out.
sheets for sure.
Yeah, no, without question. Yeah, I'm looking at the rankings right now. They still got Kachi ranked as number 4. Obviously, we
Right.
know he's a bit of a long shot to make the team at this point. Talking about Federer and David, Mike, because I was talking about them yesterday. As obviously what who everyone thinks is going to be in that number 2 spot. What does David need to do, like outside of the obvious, right? Like what does David need to do to catch that next gear and make a run of this event?
He needs to not look over his shoulder. He needs to not scoreboard watch. He needs to have a couple, chats with his roommate and get his head squared away and just go out there and, play like his table's the only one in the room and just focus on his game and win one match at a time. And it's all cliche stuff, but that's what he really needs to do. He can't worry about what Federer does. He can't worry about, because this, I mean, yeah, everybody guns for Mosconi Cup and they're looking at the points, but this is a big tournament. Everybody wants to win this tournament. David wants to win this tournament. He doesn't. Of course, if he does, it's going to help his Mosconi Cup case. But the bottom line is he's here to play in this tournament and win this tournament. So he just needs to dial down and focus on playing the best game he can play and taking what the table gives him and what his opponent gives him and just march through one match after the next and just try to stay alive.
Well, remember when I talked about guys who work to get out versus guys who look comfortable getting out? David is on that list of players who looks comfortable getting out. Like he doesn't struggle to get out. Once he's in line, it's very rare it's out of line. You
Right.
know,
Right.
He's incredibly steady, and he's found form over the last couple of months where he's got to be maybe a top 10 favorite entering in when it comes to the betting. And I know we're going to get to the odds here in a minute, but like if just the old eye test knows.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
it,
And he can also play that, these early rounds where you got found the trap games, things like that. He can grind his way through those too. If he's not playing a run out pool, he can stay in the game. He can stay in the match. He can make his opponent work
right.
harder than he wants to. He can make his opponent uncomfortable. So he's got a
Well,
lot
he
of
can
ways.
squeeze you. He can do a lot of things.
He
He's
can.
got such a great tactical game. Outside of his run out ability and his defensive play. Right, the 2-row kicks. Obviously, he's got a great Karen background. Right, and the guy can kick like he's got Filipino blood in him.
Yeah.
And that serves him well in this format that where it has more moving and more safety play, where he's got the edge like the average great player. If that
Right.
if that makes sense.
Right.
Got a question in the chat about where you can watch. I know the Zone's got coverage. YouTube on Matchroom Multisport has coverage as well. You guys can check that out, and I'll be posting the links
The zone
on
doesn't
when
pop
those
in
open.
until end of the week, right?
Does it? Well, I don't know. One of my sponsors here, old Alberto Trujillo from Fort Worth Billiards, he texted me. He said, "Where's the link to watch?" And then he responded back. He said, "Never mind, I found it." And I said, "Well, can you send it to me? Because I don't know where to watch either. I'm here, you know." So, uh, but he said it was on
Well,
the zone. So
really, that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Matt Poland said the zone is up now, so that's where you guys can check it out. Also, and I know Sky Sports comes in here
Huh.
later on in the week. So the event is only going to get bigger and better as it progresses. Yeah, a lot of guys are saying the zone is up, so that's where you guys can go and check it out, and it's well worth the coverage. You know, you guys
But
can have
it's
the zone
also
matchup.
on Matchroom Live and whatever, right? Is I would assume.
Yeah, Metrum Live for sure. So we're also going to try to get in a lot of guests this week. Emily's going to come in at some point, maybe not today, but or maybe today. I don't know. I'm making a lot of interviews with guys just kind of on the fly out there on the floor, especially following this first round. And just really throughout the day. So, Mike, give me some Americans that you think. I mean, I don't want to say make a run, but maybe just kind of continue to maybe solidify themselves. You know,
Isn't that a shame that when we talk about the American players making
well,
a run seems like
there's
really
a
sounds really
there's a different
ambitious?
standard, right? I mean, there's a different standard, Mike. You know, when you think about an American making a run, who comes to mind, Mike? Because I,
Well, you know what? Yeah, it's Sky and Shane, of course. But
okay, yeah,
do I think that Tyler, based on what I've seen from this year, can make a run? I think from a
yeah,
play standpoint,
okay,
from a confidence standpoint, I
I'll
think
buy
that
it.
he's got a chance to make a run. Is that final eight? That to me would be a run. Certainly, final four would be a
He
huge.
makes a final eight,
But
Mike. Lock it up. Lock it up.
yeah,
He's on the team, and I think he's
well, no,
already
he's
a
on.
lock.
Well,
You
we
make
both
an
know he's on the
eight.
team anyways. But he makes
Yeah,
the final eight. It's like, okay, now we see the progress in his game we've been waiting for the last couple of years, right? So I would love to see that
yes,
happen. I would love to see that happen. I don't know that someone like a Shane Wolford has a final eight type of run in him. I think Tyler does. Then you look at guys like Billy, BJ, people like that.
who are all here.
Fine. They're all here. Make it to single elimination, win a match or two, and we'd all be happy as a lark. So, I mean, we can talk about
Would
this
we,
later
Mike?
too.
What
I
would we?
would we
Would we
what?
be happy as a lark? Would we be happy as
Yeah.
the hell? That I don't even
I-
have no idea what that 1900 phrase is. I'm gonna have to Google that when we get here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Larks are happy
No,
birds, Mike. So
I got
it's no,
okay. Let me write that down. Of
it's all relative, right? And we've talked about this. I've
course.
talked about it a lot in the last year or so. I want to see all I want to see from the Americans is progress. Okay,
Yes.
that I said
Agreed.
last year. I want this year's Moscone Cup third or fourth place guy to have more than $6,000, which was what got him in last year, or something like that. I want to
Yeah.
see what I consider to be progress. I think we've seen that this year out of a lot of guys. I think we've seen it out of Tyler this year. I
Of
think we've
course.
seen it out of Shane Wolford this year.
Yes.
BJ came out of nowhere. He's showing, so we've seen that kind of progress. So another step would be, okay, take a couple of guys you don't expect to do much, see if they can get to the final 32. I
Listen,
would say, okay, that's progress.
Billy
It's
was
baby
2 and out.
steps.
Billy was 2 and out in one event, and then follows that up with having a decent run in Connecticut. So I want to see if then he can continue to follow that up. And I
Yeah,
agree with you. Like it's all relative, but you have to take, like, you're kind of just pulling at strand to figure out where you can get a grip. And who's going to be able to just really take the bull by the horns. Like we've seen we've seen that a guy like Tyler can not only beat a big name here or there, but now he can beat a big name with regularity, with consistency, right? And
yeah,
now can that translate into a deep run? I think he's got it in him for
yeah.
sure.
Well, deep run
Even
deep runs means beating two or three names in a row.
yeah,
Okay, now you would say to me, okay, that's real progress. So we know he's got the talent to take out a big name. Can he take out two of them in a row? Can he take out three of them in a row? That's what all these
you're
guys are
gonna
going to
have
have
to.
to.
You're
That's
gonna
what all
have
these
to.
guys are going to have to prove over the next year or two. Is they go into a tournament and they can take out some big names, two or three in a row. Then you're a threat.
Well, I'm with you, and I also will agree on the Tyler. I'll agree with the Wolford because I've seen Wolford take out a big name like a Koping Chung, which he's
Yeah.
a top 5 favorite entering in any event as well. So but it's having that not just be a one time but continued.
Yeah.
And listen, it's easy to what's the word, like throw shade on the Americans versus Europeans, but listen, the Europeans are
What is
so
this
much deeper
throw
and,
shade you're
and there's so
talking
much
about with these
and there's so many.
2023 terms?
Oh, I'll write that down, Mr. Happy as a Lark. Okay, I'll send you the email on the definition. You know, it's you have to take positives where you can, and really, when it comes time for December, it's can you hold your fucking nerve, and can you get a win in a race to 5, right? If you start beating
Yeah.
big names, that puts you in categories to do so. So that those kind of things where I would keep with it. And with a guy like Tyler, look, I'm looking at him now and where I saw him play at the beginning of last year's Mosconi Cup, where I'm thinking, you know what, he's going to be a real asset to this team. Whereas
Yeah.
maybe in years past, you chalked him up to maybe being a liability, where then he stood tall, surprising you. Now you're
Right.
expecting him to be able to not just pull his weight, but to be someone that you can really lean on, which is what you want.
Yeah.
And then in
Well,
turn,
now
it
you
takes
need him
pressure
to
off the other
stand
guys.
tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you need him to stand tall. Well, so speaking of which, what do you think about you going to be watching Lucas out here?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he's got to have a big event, and
Yeah.
because he can disappear in the tournament bracket too. Like, and I don't like that. You have to be able, like, you need a win when you're supposed to win. And listen, while I can appreciate his grind, if the after hours is an issue when it comes to, like, you know
Being
gambling
ready for
or
this.
the
Yeah.
party or whatever it is, and otherwise, then your priorities ain't where it needs to be at. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, but we all know the guy likes to get into a good game, and there's a time and a place for it. I feel like so, but you need to look. You can't just focus on those positives if you ain't winning what you're supposed to win. You know, because especially if you're an American, at least win the matches that you're supposed to win, and
Right.
then find ways to take like these little these moral victories out of, if you lose, let's say, like a 10-8 to a David Alcade or player like that, you know what I mean? Then I'm like, all right, you know what, I'm good with that, because that's a
Yeah.
fight, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but no, for sure you got to get
Well,
there. And listen, for that matter,
he opens up with Scott Frost, so not a a 9-ball killer, but still a seasoned veteran, knows how to play the game. So he's not getting some unknown cupcake
a
from.
guy with a lot of pride too, Mike. Scott wants to
Yeah.
win, you know.
Yeah.
Scott for sure wants to win. I mean, he's going to be a bit of an underdog heading into Lucas. By the way, looking at table number 2 on the scoreboard, it's 5-5. So be on upset alert. Carlos still going to be a big favorite going to 9, but you better look out because Al Shamiri is coming with it. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Good stuff.
yeah, it's
Look.
Scott for sure wants to win. I mean, I'm not expecting him to make like a Mosconi Cup type run, but here's the deal. It's yours for the taking, and that goes for anybody. Any one of these players. And the other thing that no one seems to be talking about, Mike, is that if if we do get to where an Asian team plays the winner of USA versus Europe, I'd imagine that all of these points that are going on right now are going to be very heavily favored into if you're going to make said team. So there's a lot of Asians that may be fighting under the radar for pole positioning, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, we'll see what
uh,
happens when they announce an event like that about how the first year Asian team is going to be selected. But that would be interesting in and of itself. But I'm looking at Lucas, to see, okay, he beat Scott Frost. He would play winner of Candela and a Finnish player that I'm not familiar with, uh, and to get into the final 64 with 3 straight wins, he'd probably be looking at Josh. so, so just get yourself a couple of wins and let's see what happens. But um, you know, I, I would love to see the kid. I'm
if
kind of
he okay,
curious to see how he does.
let's say he wins two,
Right?
as maybe he's supposed to. Um, and then let's say that he beats Josh Felder to getting single elimination. What are you saying about the kid?
I'll buy him his ticket over.
Are you getting them a jersey? Is what I'm saying. Is Panozo captain getting them the jersey?
Pinozo captain probably would, because I'm looking, it's like, don't pick two rookies, all that kind of stuff. You know what? I, I'm not sold on the old standbys anymore. And so I would be okay with two rookies if someone
Okay.
showed me that he wanted to take this kind of swing at it. So yeah, something like that. I mean, that's a really wild, scenario to think through. If it happened, that would be good enough for me.
Yeah, you got two tough opponents that are going to be waiting there, so it's not going to be easy to be in a position to play Filter to make it in. But you want to
No,
talk
no,
about a premier matchup? That's going to have a lot of implications, and a lot of people are going to be watching it. And there's Europeans taking notice of Lucas. I've heard European players mention his name. Jason and Aaron the other day on the stream for the Connecticut event that just finished up. So, kind of like Moritz. I mean, I know Lucas ain't had the success that Moritz does, but he's on the radar now for sure.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's good to hear other people taking notice of young American players, and that's why I would, if I were captain, I would look for an opportunity to pick a young player or two if I thought they were on the upswing, because I really don't see anything in that veteran side that makes me think, oh, we can't go without this guy.
Yeah. Well, I love the philosophy, like Glasscock says. Tired of the same old, same old. Look,
I like
I've
the
been saying for
philosophy of
years,
Mike from Moscone Cup captain.
you going to be captain, Mike? Listen, I'll go knock
No
on the
one
door
wants.
next door and
No
talk to
one
Emily
wants
about
that.
getting you on there.
No.
I'll listen.
No,
You
I
want me to go
wouldn't
to
do
bat
that to
for
my
you?
buddy Jeremy. I wouldn't do that to Jeremy.
We can maybe get you as a vice captain, Mike. Listen, if you make vice captain, the only thing I ask is that you throw on a dog in it logo on the jersey, Mike. That's my only request.
I'll be
You
selling
know?
every square inch of my shirt. Don't worry about it.
Oh no. We got grandfathered in, buddy. We got grandfathered in. No, I'm just kidding. But Mike, give me a favorite you like to win. Give me a long shot you like to win.
Favorite, I you know, I get Raga would be considered a favorite, wouldn't he? He's not.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Why isn't he on the betting odds? I don't
So
see him
these
anywhere on here.
the betting odds that I posted from online were from
Yeah.
Delsim. Dell sent me that, and
Okay.
these are the what do you call it? The book in the UK that have that. So why they don't
Yes, they
have it,
don't
I
have
don't
Raga on
know.
there. Okay, I'll take Raga. And as far as a long shot,
These odds are interesting now that I'm looking at them. 8 to
they're
1. So
interesting.
Shane's the overall betting favorite. Moritz at 33 to 1, same as Ko Ping Chung, and as the same as the Yap. Alex at 33 to 1, I think is crazy if you're going to put him in that same grouping as these other players.
I'll take
Uh,
a Yungling Chang for a long shot at 50 to 1.
well, is he on? Oh, let me click the picture. Oh, there you go. Wow, that's crazy. Wow, some of these are nuts. Okay, I'll keep my mouth shut on some things, but uh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Chang Jung Lung is 50 to 1, and Sanjin Pelavanovic is 33 to 1. Who do you
Are
like to
you
last longer there?
who I would swing on? I'm getting way on. I'll tell you that. I know for a fact who I'm betting it on. Um, yeah, that's interesting, Mike. I'm surprised. So who'd you say who was the favorite? Anton was your
Yeah,
favorite?
yeah, yeah,
It's fair. It's very fair, because it's about what you're doing lately,
yeah.
and kind of along that same philosophy of I'm not going to take an older player who's maybe you're kind of hanging your hat on reputation. I want to look at current form, and Anton is close to, not at the top of that list of players, or at least in that same neighborhood. Um, yeah, I
Where'd he
don't know,
finish in
Mike.
Connecticut?
At least around the 8 mark, I want to say,
5 to 8.
somewhere around
Is
there.
that where he was at?
Yeah,
Five
I want
in
to
there.
say, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on it, but I want to say right around there. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I don't know how big of a limb it is. For me, it's a bigger limb on a matchroom stage, and I'm gonna go with Victor. I think it's his time to really step up and show your bottle, as they say, on a matchroom stage, because you can't be that good and not bust through, and he is that good, and now it's time for you to bust through, kid. You're right around that 6 to 10 range. Guess what? Go get your ass around number 5 and number 4 and number 3. And if you want to be considered among the great European players, which you are, now you got to grab the throat and take it, so I want to see that killer instinct from him. Does that count as a long shot or a favorite, Mike? Because that's gonna change
Well,
the
I
other
don't know.
pick.
He's 40 to 1 on
Got to
this
be a
thing.
bit of a
So,
long shot, ain't it? It's
well,
got to be a long shot.
yeah. I mean, I think anytime you pick someone who hasn't won a major or a big event like this,
Yeah, right.
um, that it's more long shot. He's won Las Vegas Open, um,
Right.
things like that. So he's been in the winner's circle before, but not
Just not over
not
here.
in the not in the big open event with long races. Las
Right.
Vegas Open, was that sets?
Well, say that again, Mike.
Las Vegas Open, was that sets? This
Yes. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They
right,
weren't. They weren't straight races. Yeah,
right.
because it wasn't the world. The
So
World 10 Ball was straight races.
right, correct. So yeah, it's
Um, if I'm going favorite, I still can't pick against the German, Mike. I can't. I can't.
Moritz or Josh.
See, now, easy, Tiger, easy. I know the kid's playing good, but
Yeah, no, it's
when
of
you say
course it's
when
hard to pick against Josh. I mean,
you
he's
can't,
just
man. How can you,
he's a
Mike? How can
beast.
you?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's a beast.
Look, man,
Uh,
he lives and breathes these events. He lives and breathes majors. He lives and breathes big
yeah,
moments and pressure. He seeks it out, and more importantly, he's a bullseye on his back every time, and he still is so consistent, Mike. I think about the last time I was
he
at.
lost his first match in China. He lost his
Okay,
first
listen,
match in
give
China,
me give
nine
me the
ball, one on
break.
the spot.
Yes, Mike. Even you would have made even you would have made a ball break on the spot in the temp, and
And there
even
were a
you would
lot
have
of
made it,
players there that could do it, and he was in the loser bracket after one round and still won.
and still won the event. You
Yeah,
want listen? I think fading that's a tournament of luck and rolls, Mike. You
yeah.
know, like and
Well,
because you really got to
luck's
have
it's
everything go your way.
the old saying is luck's the residue of design. So, you put yourself into a position to get lucky by being a great player like Josh is, and you're going to get
Yeah.
your roll when you need it, and you're going to get your luck when you need it. Everybody gets luck in a
See,
match. They just don't take
this is what
advantage
happens
of it
when
to the
you
point of winning a match.
happens when you've been covering the sport for 40 years. I don't have gems like that in my bag, Mike, to throw out there. I need to build up the arsenal here while I can. No, and listen,
Well,
Anton and
take
Josh were both
notes. Take
there.
notes,
You
son.
know,
I mean, the first thing you got to do is be happy as a lark.
yeah. Well, Anton and Josh being in the final of China Open, those are two of the best players on the planet.
Yeah,
So like, even though I mentioned luck, it's like they were still, probably
yeah.
1 to 5 betting
Cream's
odds to
still
get in
there.
there.
Yep,
Cream is
yep.
still there. You're absolutely right, Mike. It's just listen. I say there's a difference between a tournament anywhere else and a matchroom stage, right? But that kid just ends up, years ago, whatever it was, 4 or 5 years ago, when I went to Mandalay Bay, Josh Wu in a great final, and then I realized, holy shit, it's been about 4 or 5 years, and the kid's still relevant. The kid is still consistent, and the kid is still an absolute monster. That is
Yeah,
so hard to do with as deep as it is, you know.
yeah.
So anyway, you guys can check out all the action on the Zone, Matchroom Multisport YouTube if you're here in the States. I'm going to be posting just a ton of stuff. I'm about to go out there and go sweat some matches myself. And then I'll probably be going live. Like, I don't know what you like, but I'm going to try to do like a pregame, post midday if I can, and then maybe a post game, but at least the top and bottom, pre and post. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, I should be around. You can check in with me, but I got to go pack and head out first thing in the morning to get out there. So,
oh, you're going to be out here. Okay, good. So
I'll
we
be
can
out there
do on
tomorrow.
location. Oh, good deal. All right, listen, you buy lunch for sure. I'll buy dinner because I owe you dinner. Um, Man, I'm gonna dodge you like the plague, Mike. Now that I think about it, no. Listen, we appreciate all you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us this morning. Please go check out the streams. We're gonna be tournament following the tournament the entire time. Thanks to all of our sponsors up top who help support the event, much of that down below, who help us out. Day in and day out. We couldn't get here without you guys. So much appreciation. Glasscock says Wolford in 10 minutes on YouTube. So yeah, it's gonna be great. Keep your notifications on. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon.